And so if you can get a mentor, if you can get another small business to mentor them, then you've got an opportunity to build that experience. And since last October, we've recruited more than 600 people as digital champions to attack this statistic, which is that 67,000 adults in Manchester, that's 17.5% of the adult population, are completely offline, and we need to change that. So our Manchester Living Lab is very important, but also this idea of digital district centres that are the equivalent in a big urban context of the digital high street. So, for example, in the inner city community that I live, it's an area called Levendune, halfway in Manchester, but halfway between Manchester and Stockport. We have had a number of initiatives in terms of local loyalty cards, pop-up shops, and now the council, my own employer, having tried very boldly to produce local produce markets and failed, certainly in our area, the community have organised and said this is such a good idea, but perhaps it wasn't done well, that we'll form a social enterprise, a community interest company, to actually run the market. And that's spun off a lot of other things. And so if we can build those together, and as part of our Urban Broadband Fund application for money from the government, who say they want to see super connected cities, but they're worried about how that should be done, and we're going to have vouchers, and how's that going to work? Again, yet another story, ask me at lunchtime. So we're going to create a city-wide network with 1,000 public buildings, that includes the housing sector, which will have completely free wireless access. And if people then want to use that backbone, a completely open access network, to set up their own community wireless service provider, because we will just have the infrastructure available, then we think that's a way of helping to stimulate that when the cost of doing it in other ways is very, very expensive. Rachel's going to talk about how important creative spaces for innovators and entrepreneurs to get together are. There's also a lot of stuff about the Internet of Things. I just want to finish on this idea of 3D printing. It's not all about rednecks in the woods arming their own militias with plastic guns. It's actually about bringing back production right to the heart of our communities. And in 10 years' time, if just about every small business and many, many homes have 3D printers, there's the opportunity to rediscover the production of things. It used to be called manufacturing. People have probably forgot that term largely. Back into the heart of the communities, which is a challenge. Because I finish on this, how many of you have in your schools and with your kids the learning starting to happen about what 3D printing is? Because in 10 years' time, those will be a key element of jobs. Now, part of the Obama push for relevant technical education in schools has actually been to set up 3D printing in schools, and we should be doing the same. Don't see it anywhere yet, but at least it's being talked about. And then finally, as somebody who comes from an economic development background, what's going to happen when this community is doing really well, and there's all these sort of little workshops out the back of the shops and in people's garages doing stuff, and then somebody says, there's a funny smell. People are they're making things in my residential area. You, planning department, we want an enforcement order. We want to shut them down. So should that be the way, or should we go around and congratulate them on developing this new potential source of jobs and skills and alert them to a kind of training opportunity that will help them do it? So these are going to be really interesting questions. So it's not just about digital, it's about the whole way that technology could be used. So I'm going to finish there and hand over to Rachel. I am around all day today, so if you want to discuss this over lunch, very happy to do so. Thanks very much.